In the last video, I talked about market change and the discussions around what to do with major home price indices. Um, and I was using an example of statistical concepts. Today, I want to talk about the same thing, but viewing it really through the lens of behavioral economics and cognitive bias. So, what you're looking at here is two things that I think are really playing into this discussion on market condition analysis. And I think no matter what perspective you're coming from, you need to be aware of these two types of bias, and they are polar opposites. The first is action bias. So it's the tendency to prefer action over inaction. It's better to do something than nothing. And then the opposite would be omission bias. So that's the tendency to, hey, let's actually not do anything. That's my preference. That's my bias is to do nothing rather than something. And so I think when we're looking at the a lot of the discussion around market change and residential real estate appraisals in particular, the GSE's perspective, things that they're talking about, things that they have mandated. I think we all need to be aware of what bias maybe that we see in others and what maybe we might be experiencing and maybe not notice as much on our own. And it's natural to have a cognitive bias around things. It's just a human condition. It's not that we're doing anything wrong or that we're uh, you know less uh, less smart or that we're just not trying or working hard enough. This is just a human condition. So when I consider market change, and in particular, I've been focusing on the idea of using a broad home price index like Zillow or Case-Shiller or Freddie Mac's or others that are out there. What should we do with that? And I think uh, there's two things. So the last thing I heard a lot of at the ACTS conference was, hey, worst case scenario, use a broad home price index. It's better than nothing. And I think that's an example of action bias. Well, we want to see something happening. It's better than nothing happening, which is a bias. That's not always true. Sometimes an action that you might take, and it might have negative effects. So it might be that sometimes doing nothing is better than doing something. But alternatively, I think the GSEs are looking at a lot of appraisers and seeing omission bias. Hey, the tendency is to do nothing, and the bar of doing something seems to be unrealistically high. And that's also a bias if we're sitting here and we're saying, well, it's a zero adjustment is better than an adjustment that I'm feeling not as sure of. Well, if you're doing a quantitative analysis, zero is actually no safer of an adjustment than 5%. If you have zero data for either one, then they're both equally wrong. But that omission bias makes it seem like, well, that's maybe a better place to start. It's just a cognitive bias in both cases. So as appraisers, we do need to approach this topic, this decision. How are we going to handle market conditions analysis? Just like we do any other problem. And the nice thing about being an appraiser is we do have this position that I need to always be ready to take a step back and see the big picture. That's part of the job. Is I'm gonna be unbiased. That's really what I'm looking to do. So in how we approach a problem, let's all try to take a step back here and say, hey, do do I really fall in the camp of omission bias? Do I see myself, kind of falling into that, or alternatively, hey, you know what? I'm sort of in the action bias camp. It seems like I'm wanting to do something even if maybe it's not the best thing or the right thing. And so being aware of this can be really helpful to number one, take the tension down in some of the discussions around it, and number two, to be self-reflective and know that we all have room to grow professionally and personally, and anytime we can take a step back and challenge our own cognitive bias, it is a growth edge for us professionally and personally. And so today, I just wanted to introduce this into the discussion and ask, what sort of cognitive bias do you bring to this problem?